Let's cut to the chase. I was never the cell phone type. I got my first cell phone in 2005 when I moved to Ithaca. It was a flip phone with minimal capabilities. I upgraded it around 2010 or so because it was falling apart. But I upgraded it to another flip phone, not a smartphone. I have had a front row seat to the rise of the smartphone. So when I turned in my flip phone, it was no big deal for me. Why didn't I get a smartphone? I watched my friends get smartphones one by one. Every time it was a variation of the same story. They got the phone, showed everyone the cool features it had, and their life got absorbed. I had a friend I talked to every day on the bus. She got a smartphone and was too busy checking it to talk. I had friends who I would party with. They got smartphones, and if they even came to the parties anymore, they would spend a fair amount of time browsing it and texting people who weren't there. I moved 3 times between 2007 and 2014. Every time, making new friends was a bit more difficult. People were too busy to engage in face-to-face conversations. The phones replaced the interactions. The average conversation has a lull after 7 minutes. During a lull in a conversation, we tend to pull out our phones. That lull is now an endpoint. I saw this happening to one friend after another, and I didn't want it to happen to me. So I never bought into the smartphone craze. The standard arguments were made. You can access email at any time. You can talk to friends from anywhere. You can look up answers to literally any question in an instant. I would respond with the standard counters. If I can do those things, people will expect me to do those things. I'd rather be able to walk away from work and not be able to check my email. I want to talk to people who are in front of me, not people who specifically aren't. And I want to look things up on my own time when I feel comfortable saying that I don't care who the 4 members of One Direction were. By 2014, my friends were either talking to me via Facebook, my personal email, face-to-face, or not at all. My wife would talk in person, and if there was an emergency, she'd call my work phone, or she'd call my home phone. If there was an emergency and I was on my cell phone, it was unlikely that I would be of any assistance whatsoever. I ended up getting more wrong numbers and more spam callers than I got actual phone calls and texts. So on July 24th, 2014, I walked into a Verizon phone store, handed them my phone and said, "I'm done with this. Thank you." I ended my plan right there. They, of course, tried to sell me the new smartphone, and I just said, nah, and just walked out the door. And as you expected, within 3 days, I was completely alone, starving, and dead.